Welcome. This is the 10th annual Soul Shine Solstice celebration. And we are here in this powerful gateway of amplified light. And we are here with Patricia, Diane, Cota-Robles of the eraofpeace.org. Hi, Patricia. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, hi, Lauren. Thank you for inviting me. This is such a wonderful opportunity and such a powerful time.
It is a powerful time. This is a time of creations from the heart. We're finding an acceleration of sorts where if we're able to truly stay in the heart, in the face of everything, things accelerate in a positive, beneficial way. And I can say by experience that I'm still human. And from time to time, I catch myself creating from probably not the purest of intentions. And then to witness what happens is just a magnificent reminder to truly stay in the heart, in the face of everything. How are you doing with all of this?
Well, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And with all the people that I communicate with and in my own life as well, people are referring to it as cash karma because things are happening almost instantaneously. It seems like when we move out of that place into that place of getting caught up in what's actually occurring in the outer world, the chaos and the purging as everything that conflicts with the light is being pushed to the surface. And we start latching on to those things because the reality is we've all been everything and done everything by this point in our earthly sojourn. And so as these energies come up, a lot of times we have etheric records and memories that resonate with some of that, and it triggers some of that within us. So we have to be really vigilant. That there's an expression that says the price for freedom is eternal vigilance. And we have to be really not just on autopilot, but really be in the moment of now and observing what's coming up so we can release it and transmute it and not empower it by getting caught up in it and pulled into it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful reminder for that. And so in this gateway, this is the end of a 40-day period of purging through this gateway. Can you share more on that and perhaps any background leading up to this cosmic moment?
I sure will. This is such a powerful time. And what this 40-day purging process is that amazingly, because it certainly doesn't appear that way from outer appearances, but amazingly, we have reached a frequency of vibration on this planet that is allowing all of the old obsolete structures, the third dimensional patterns of separation and duality to be dismantled and to their crumbling away and they're being dissolved. And so what that means, those patterns of separation and duality, everything begins with consciousness. And so that's part of a consciousness. But the way that manifests in the physical behavior patterns through humanity is through greed and corruption and the abuse of power and hatred and all of the atrocities that we literally inflict on each other that creates that us against them or that dog eat dog or that looking out for number one. We've heard all of those expressions that describe that self-obsessed behavior. And it's all based in fear, and none of it reverberates with a frequency of love. It is all void of love. So it's hard to believe that we have reached a vibration where we can really dismantle that. But we've been through some miraculous and remarkable things in the last 2 years, and really in the last few decades that has brought us to this point. And this 40-day period is a miraculous opportunity. And it began with the portal that opened on November 11th, the 1111 portal. And 1111 is a master divinity code within our DNA that reflects the transformation of the physical into the divine. And then it's been building in momentum. We've been through a very powerful eclipse series. We've been through the frequencies of 1212, and now this is the completion of that period of time. And one of the things that helps me from the company of heaven to really recognize why this can happen and how in the world we could be at that place when it looks like everything in the world is in this duality and chaos and us against them. And, you know, we talk to people and it's like we're living on two different planets, and it seems impossible to believe that if you're on one of these planets, you could be moving on the same spiritual path as the people on the other planet, because they seem like the information and their understanding is totally conflicting. But the reality is, which is amazing to me, but the reality is that on our mailing list for Era of Peace, our nonprofit organization, we have lots and lots of people that are walking with their feet in both of those worlds, that believe and perceive that they're on the identical spiritual path, except they just have these extreme outer world opinions about what's going on and the things that are going on. So that's really the extremeness of the lower consciousness. That's coming from our human ego, you know, that has different perceptions. But on a higher level, every person is aware of what's really going on. And the beings of light have said that each and every one of us in embody at this time are here because of the magnitude of the divine plan unfolding on this planet. We're in the midst of a unique experiment that has never been attempted in any system of worlds. Never has a planet that's fallen this far into the discordant frequencies of separation and duality been given the opportunity to awaken and to work in unison and collaboration with the company of heaven to raise humanity and all life on this earth into the higher spiral of our evolutionary process that we're moving to, which is the fifth dimensional frequencies of the new earth. And the thing that was so encouraging to me was when the company of heaven said, not long ago, but within the last, since the birth of this new decade, that we have finally reached a frequency of collective critical mass of divine love on this planet. And when you look at what's happening, that seems very hard to believe. But the explanation and the understanding from them is that there are all different variables that determine when something reaches a critical mass. But they want us to understand that, just very simply, that I've been around a really long time. So I remember when they were first understanding about quantum mechanics and subatomic particles, and they were talking about electrons and energy raising and vibration. And the scientists would say that they are observing an electron in a particular frequency. And as the electron raises up in vibration to a higher frequency, the moment it reaches a critical mass of this higher frequency, it disappears here and reappears in the higher frequency. So they said there's all different things that determine when something reaches a critical mass. But they said, for simplicity, for us to understand, for us to think of it as 41%. So that when something reaches, 51%. So that if something reaches 51% of the higher vibration, just 1% more than half, it absorbs the other 49%, and it creates an unstoppable shift. So the entire thing moves forward in the light. And so now when we're saying that humanity, the collective cup of consciousness for the masses of humanity, have reached a frequency of divine love, light and love are infinitely more powerful than the discordant, fragmented frequencies of hate and fear and all of the abuse of power and things that we think of as our fragmented and fear-based human ego. So one person expressing pure frequencies of divine love can literally transcend the negative thoughts and feelings of hundreds, often thousands of thought forms from other people. So when we say that 51% of the energy, vibration, and consciousness of the masses of humanity have reached a frequency of divine love, it doesn't mean that 51% of the people are expressing divine love all the time, but it means that the collective vibration being released on the planet, since love is infinitely more powerful than all the fear-based negative energy, that 51% of that collective mass of energy is vibrating with the frequencies of divine love. And the reason it is possible is because it doesn't mean that one person is radiating divine love with every breath 24 hours a day. But what it means is every single expression of love that is released on this planet becomes part of that collective higher vibration of divine love. So every prayer, every meditation, every loving thought, word, action, or feeling a person expresses for any part of life adds to this collective vibration. And even though we see a lot of negativity through the media and, on the news and that kind of thing, we're talking about 7.5 billion souls on this planet. And all of us, probably 99% of the people on the planet, at one time or another throughout the day are expressing love or thinking loving thoughts or admiring nature and the sunrise or sunset and expressing love in myriad ways of gratitude and with our families and loved ones. So since that energy is much more powerful than our negative thoughts, we are reaching a critical mass of positive energy. So this critical mass has allowed our I Am Presence, working with the Company of Heaven, to create literal miracles. And I'll just share with you, and you ask about the background, a few of the things that have brought us to this point, because so much has gone on with COVID and with all of these things since the birth of this new decade that it seems a little bit confusing when we just look at outer appearances. For one thing, as we've talked about many times, the beings of light have said that we are multidimensional beings and we are functioning on several levels of consciousness simultaneously. And everything that is manifesting in the physical plane begins initially in the realms of cause. And then we magnetize it through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings into the physical plane. So these positive, wonderful, life-transforming, transformational things that are occurring are formed in the realms of cause. And then they filter through various levels of consciousness into the physical plane of Earth, which is known as the world of effects. And the beings of light said that because of all of the outpicturing of the negative thought forms and things as well, we think of the physical plane as being very real, but it is actually the least real of all of the dimensions that we abide in, because the chaos and negativity doesn't exist in those higher frequencies. It can't be sustained in those higher frequencies. So the physical plane is the least real of all of the dimensions and the very last dimension to reflect the changes. So these positive, wonderful things that are occurring that I'm talking about have all been God victoriously accomplished in the realms of cause. And now they're beginning to filter into the world of effects. So there were, excuse me, some very myriad activities of light, and this includes every single person on the planet that's adding to the light of the world in any way, shape, or form as part of this collective vibration. And the beings of light said all of us have been prepared to do this, and that we are in physical embodiment because we have been selected, that when our Father, Mother, God sent forth the clarion call, asking for people to come and assist with this unique experiment, they said that literally billions of souls responded, and we were chosen. And we were chosen when often many of them were turned away. And it doesn't mean that we're more special or more wonderful than our sisters and brothers who are turned away. But the beings of light said the reason we were selected is because it was perceived that because of our unique experiences that we had each individually been through in all of our lifetimes, and our tenacity and our willingness to serve and our ability to stay focused on the light in the face of adversity and chaos, that it was perceived that we would have a better chance of staying focused on the light during this incredible purging and cleansing process the earth has to go through in order for us to complete our ascension in this experiment into the fifth dimensional new earth. And so each of us are here because we've been prepared, and we are able to do this, and we have the ability to do this. So everybody's fulfilling a facet of their divine plan. When we look in the outer world and see people doing some pretty abhorrent things, the reason, they have agreed at some level to bring up all of the chaos, because this is a time when was referred to even in the Bible as a time when all that is hidden must now be revealed. We can't just say, cancel, cancel, and eliminate the past. What we have to do is bring up our the chaos to the surface so we can recognize it, identify it, and then transmute it back into light. Everything manifesting in the outer world, even the most discordant, horrific energy, was originally pure God light, that through our creative faculties of thought and feeling, we've taken that light and distorted it through our feelings and our thoughts and our behavior patterns into these gross mutations. So we have to love that energy back into the light. So we have to bring it to the surface. And so some people have volunteered to do that. Myriad other people on this planet have volunteered to be the instigators of transformational lessons and bringing in the light and working with healing and transforming the light. So the reason I wanted to explain that is we're talking about every activity of light on this planet. Even if you are oblivious to the fact that your light is adding to the world, that's immaterial. It's occurring scientifically to the letter, whether you realize it, whether you ever even thought about it or not, because every atomic and subatomic particle of energy on this planet is originally pure God energy, pure divine light. And it is either adding with every thought, word, action, or feeling. We're either adding to the light of the world or we're adding to the shadows, depending on what we're thinking and what we're empowering. So that's important for us to understand, because then we can be more conscientious about misqualifying our thoughts and feelings with anger and fear and judgment and criticism and all of those kinds of things. But in 2019, in preparation, because of all of these myriad activities of light, in 2019, we reached a frequency of vibration that allowed our I am presence, and when I say our I am presence, I'm talking about every man, woman, and child, to activate our higher frequency of our chakra system, our 12 solar strands of DNA. That was bringing into a fifth dimensional frequency of light. And when as we moved forward into these higher frequencies, our I am presence was able to heal our fragmented, short-circuited DNA. We originally had 12 strands of DNA. When we fell into such discord, our DNA short-circuited into the double helix that our scientists are now aware of. So what happened in August on the anniversary of harmonic convergence in 2019 is that we had reached a vibration where the I am presence of every person could heal and literally splice the 12 strands of DNA within humanity. And at the same time, we were able to take the next step of activating the higher frequency of that DNA into the fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA. We're going through this divine alchemy as we move up into higher vibrations. We're transforming from third dimensional planetary carbon-based cells into fifth dimensional crystalline cells into higher vibrational. It's a divine alchemy that everybody, including the earth, is going through. So once that occurred, we reached this frequency of vibration that is known as the portal of the 1212. And I think a lot of people are aware of 1212. This is on December 12th, this occurs. And it's a time that has been celebrated as the apparition of the Virgin of Guadalupe. And so this portal has been building literally for over 500 years. Mother Mary appeared in the form of the Virgin of Guadalupe to the peasant Juan Diego in Mexico in the 1500s. And she began bringing in at that time the awareness of the divine feminine, a higher frequency of our Mother God. And what we learned in December of 2019 is that the 1212 portal is much grander than we were even aware of. Through the divine feminine and through that apparition, the light of God was connected, this pillar of light from the heart of God through the center of the earth, this open portal of direct light bringing in the divine feminine. But what we found out in 2019, after the activation of our fifth dimensional solar strands, this new higher level of knowledge could come through, is that 1212 is also a sacred geometric code that was placed in our DNA by our I am presence after the fall. And it was referred to as a catalyst code. And it had been dormant for all of this time because the original divine intent from every person's I am presence is that when we finally reached a vibration, that we could activate our 12 fifth dimensional crystalline strands of DNA, the solar strands of DNA, then this catalyst code could be activated. And the intent of this catalyst code was to greatly intensify humanity's awakening, to serve as a catalyst to help us awaken. And we knew that that was a wonderful event that was occurring, but we didn't understand the magnitude of it until we began really moving through the rest of the things that were taking place, birthing this new decade. And so after the activation of these catalyst codes, which we were told would greatly accelerate the awakening of the masses of humanity, we went through the very powerful December solstice, as we are doing now, because that's always really an intense and important time. And then on Christmas Day, we experienced a new moon solar eclipse that that series literally birthed the new decade and brought it through until the full moon lunar eclipse on January 11th. So that in that eclipse series, we birthed the whole immaculate concept of the divine plan for the new decade. And we were told that this new decade would be life transforming. And in January, we were told that during this time, this 10-year period between 2010 and 2030, that humanity would actually develop our latent abilities within, and we would be able to transfigure our earthly bodies and the outer world physical experience of the earth into the initial patterns of the new earth, the heart-based patterns for the new earth. And we were told that in order to accomplish this, that we had reached this frequency of divine love that allowed our Father, Mother God to issue a cosmic dispensation that granted the company of heaven, which means the legions of light throughout infinity, all of the various angelic orders, the ascended masters, cosmic beings, solar logos, literally the entire company of heaven, allowed the entire company of heaven to begin collaborating with us in our light work in ways that they said had never before been attempted. And we really had no idea exactly what that meant or how powerful that was going to be. And within a matter of a couple of weeks, we started experiencing the outer world manifestation of what eventually very quickly devolved or evolved into a planetary pause, a forced timeout with the COVID, which they said, and we know has never before happened in all of history. And the beings of light said, regardless of outer world circumstances, there's so many different scenarios and beliefs and opinions about what has caused it and all that. This far transcends that. And they said the end result of that, this forced time out, has given every person's I am presence the ability to be heard in ways that we could not hear them because of the chatter and clamor of our lives and the outer world. And it is no longer this still small voice struggling to be heard in all of the noise, but rather because of the pause, our I am presence has been able to integrate and connect with us in ways that we have a clearer, more knowledgeable inner knowing and understanding of what is taking place. And so throughout this time, many things have taken place step by step to bring us forward in the light. And as you know, if you remember, within a matter of a couple of months, the air started clearing. Los Angeles, they had pictures of Los Angeles clear. They could see the Himalayan mountains in India from miles away, which they hadn't been able to do in over 50 years. And it demonstrated to us the power that we have when we start moving in a different direction to literally heal and restore and transform the planet. This pause, this planetary pause, allowed this intuitive inner guidance from our I am presence to communicate, and literally myriads of activity of light all over the planet became aware that there was a transformational thing going on with this divine alchemy in our earthly bodies. And a couple of the major things that happened is that we were shown and told by the company of heaven that when we fell into such dense frequencies of vibration, and what caused our fall from grace is that we made at one point the free will choice to start using our creative faculties of thought and feeling in ways that weren't based in love. And so we started creating these distorted, mutated thought forms. And that began manifesting as aging and disease and all of the maladies of our earthly bodies and the decay and corruption that was occurring in the outer world as well. So after we moved into this new decade, what the beings of light revealed is that lifetime after lifetime, these distorted patterns in our earthly bodies became so ingrained that our fallen, fragmented human ego had inadvertently created what the beings of light referred to as enslavement codes that we carried with us lifetime after lifetime that forced our genetic expression to manifest aging and disease, and to the point now where we think this is a normal part of our life, and it never was in the beginning. It's a human miscreation. We were also told that once the enslavement code started manifesting, we started creating a karmic body template so that our bodies were coming in automatically out picturing these distortions that disease and aging and all of the mental illness and the imbalance and all of those kinds of dysfunctional behavior patterns in our bodies. So with the light that was flowing in, with the collaboration, with the higher level of consciousness reflecting now through our earthly bodies from our I am presence, the first few months of 2020, those enslavement codes were replaced with divinity codes within our DNA, which are in the process now even of manifesting as this divine alchemy and these higher cellular structures of crystalline structures as we move forward. And the karmic body template was the divine body template. So the divinity codes and the divine body template are now what we have. And again, I'll say every person on the planet has, instead of the enslavement codes and the karmic body template. This allowed the I am presence of each person to actually integrate then into our earthly bodies. Instead of being outside of us and projecting light into us that we could withstand because our bodies were so contaminated, our I am presence would not and could not enter that frequency with the enslavement codes and the karmic body template. But once we moved into the divinity codes, that moved us a quantum leap forward in the light on a vibrational level. So our I am presence was able to move with us in that frequency and to integrate. So now our I am presence is able to communicate far more clearly with us, and it is radiating through our bodies in perfect alignment with our divine plan and our highest good. So this is a very individual experience for each of us. So once that occurred, which took place during the Lion's Gate, the opening of the Lion's Gate on August 8th in 2020, we had a global event. It was actually the 34th Annual World Congress on Illumination in October, that we had reached a vibration for a planetary reboot. And what we were told by that is that this planetary reboot would be bringing the Earth online for the first time with the frequencies of the fifth dimensional new Earth, and began our process of really ascending up the spiral of evolution in alignment until our new Earth is much higher than we are, but it's at least in the same timeline on this alignment with the new Earth. So then we went through the 11/11, the November 11th, which is that activation of those codes within us, the transformation of the physical into the divine as we moved through the 11/11 portal. Then we moved through the 12/12 activation of the catalyst codes again that moved us to a different higher level. And then on the solstice in 2020, we had a very rare alignment that coincided with the solstice. The solstice is very powerful in its own right, but there was also a rare conjunction that's called the Great Conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter on that day. That created a frequency of vibration that allowed our I am presence, the beings of light and our Father, Mother, God, revealed this to all of us through these activities of light that were taking place on the solstice to elevate our holy breath. Now, our breath is our connection with Source. This is why we have our first breath as we enter the physical plane and take our last breath in the physical plane as we leave the earth. Our breath, our holy breath, and it is our life force. It is the prana, the energy that sustains us. And because of this conjunction in alignment with the solstice, which is a very rare event that they align at the same time, we were able to elevate so that now from that moment on, with every single breath we take, we are breathing in through our I am presence that is now integrated within us, the highest frequencies of our life force and our prana that we are capable of receiving. Once that occurred, this allowed the mighty Elohim, who are the builders of form in the heavenly realms, working with the directors of the elements, to place throughout Earth's crystal grid system brand new fifth dimensional crystalline record keeper crystals. Now, record keeper crystals are like the DNA in the Earth. The crystal grid system of Mother Earth is like our acupuncture meridians. And so these new record keeper crystals that were able to be placed throughout the Earth during this event during the solstice in 2020 contain a new contingency plan for Mother Earth. And now we know myriad activities have taken place throughout 2021. But when we move to this particular location, one of the main things that had to happen on the anniversary of harmonic convergence, we were told once we received the elevated holy breath that our light work would be exponentially intensified with higher frequencies of light, and that we are now in a frequency to begin receiving our Father, Mother, God's highest frequency of divine love, which is that frequency of divine love is called comprehensive divine love. And we were asked, and light workers all over the world participated in this, that throughout the months of 2021, we created a quantum field of comprehensive divine love, so that on the anniversary of harmonic convergence, we were able, with our I am presence that is now integrated with this new frequency of holy breath through our new divinity codes in our DNA and our divine body template, we were able to actually anchor within the heart of our hearts and the heart of every man, woman, and child, the presence of unity consciousness. And unity consciousness, we know what unity is, we know what consciousness is, but what we didn't understand fully is that when we talk about Christ consciousness, or the consciousness of our highest level of awareness as sons and daughters of God, this light is a step down frequency of the essence of our Father, Mother, God's consciousness, which is unity consciousness. So now this highest presence of our Father, Mother, God's consciousness, unity consciousness, is now secured in every heart flame. And it is being released. This again is an individual experience. It's being released into the outer world behavior patterns of every person by their I am presence in alignment with the highest good. So everyone is moving forward into this higher and higher level of unity consciousness. With that event, that is what completed the preparation that the beings of light said now, with all of this light flowing through every single person, and this is whether they are aware of it on a conscious level or not, their I am presence is absolutely aware of it. So the beings of light said now, with all of the events that have taken place since the birth of the new decade in January, with the planetary pause, these major shifts, that anything that conflicts with the new frequencies of the fifth dimension that we're bringing in now, which is all of the archetypes for the old, obsolete, third dimensional patterns of separation and duality. Now we have reached a critical mass of divine love because of all of these events that have occurred. So this collective cup of humanity's consciousness is now powerful enough to bring forth the light of God in ways that will allow the dismantling, the crumbling away, and the dissolving of all of these obsolete structures of separation and duality. So that has been occurring since November 11th. And there was the activation of the 1111 portal. There was an expanded activation as we moved through 1212 again. And there was this powerful lunar eclipse and solar eclipse, that eclipse series that was building and building in momentum, all of it bringing to this point what we are being asked to accomplish today as we seal and complete. And this will be occurring through December 20th and 21st, and several days before and several days after, as we bring these energies into tangible manifestation through the power of this solstice. So what we're being asked to do today is an activity of light to seal this energy and to infuse the planet with the highest frequencies of our Father, Mother God's comprehensive divine love. This is the light of God that is the foundation of all creation, the divine matrix of our Father, Mother God's cosmic body, within which exists literally all that is. And this is the light that expands and intensifies unity consciousness that is now present in every heart flame. So what this is going to be building up to, and we're just getting a glimpse, we'll know more as we complete this and move on into the next phase. This is setting the stage for the birth of 2022, which is going to be, according to the beings of light, a life-transforming year like we have never experienced. And it's going to be the initial expression, the initial manifestation of what they are referring to as a generational changing of the guards. The young people, the holy innocents, those that are coming forth, that have been preparing in inner realms for a very long time to take over for the old guard that has literally created so much havoc in the outer world. And when you talk to the young people, the millennials, the Generation Z, the children and the younger people, they communicate to us that they are very upset with what we've done to this planet. They're very upset to what we have done through all of the structures that are based in that separation and duality consciousness of greed and us against them, and with disregard for the divine intelligence and the reality of the elemental kingdom and Mother Earth. They're going to be coming forth as transformational leaders, forming new social structures and archetypes and paradigms that are going to replace those that have now been dismantled and are crumbling away. So I have an activity of light, Loren, that I'd like to share with all of us for this cosmic moment. Is there anything you want to contribute or add, or any questions you have about any of this that you'd like to share?
I just should say that this is the inspiration that warms our heart and keeps us staying focused on the light and adding our love and light to everything with every breath. You have given us, and the company of heaven has given us beautiful, I want to just say, reminders of our love and the reason why we incarnated. So, the thing about 2022, when we look at those numbers of the two codes, the divine feminine is expressed in that beautiful way. And it feels like creations in the year of 2022 will be based on the divine, not only the divine matrix, but more importantly, the divine feminine, those codes of nurturing and compassion and caring and creation. So, would you add more about the two codes there?
Yes, this is the moving into the 222. Those are also referred to as the angelic codes. That master number 22, just by itself, is power on all planes, the ability to change the course of history. So it is multiplied tenfold with the 222 frequencies as we move forward into these energies. And as we begin observing these changes and these young people coming to the fore, this changing of the guard, I want to stress what the beings of light have said, that the old paradigms, archetypes, matrices for those structures that have created so much pain and suffering in the outer world and wreaked so much havoc, whether it's the energy system or even the food system that has polluted and contaminated our food, or what industry has done to the water, or the pharmaceutical industries. And I realize there are a lot of wonderful, good people involved in all those industries, but the outer world behavior has wreaked havoc, and it's all been based on the mighty dollar. It's all been in the form and for money. The beings of light said those archetypes and paradigms have been dismantled now and have been dissolved and are crumbling away. And there will be those that have been used to using these and acting out of those places that are still going to try to maintain their power and their control and their oppressive, manipulative ways of controlling the masses. But the beings of light said they will fail, because there is no matrix vibrating at that discordant of a frequency that can any longer sustain those thought forms. So that is going to be a futile effort for a while, even though we may see some of that. And what our responsibility is invoking the light of God and asking their I am presence, all of these people that are still moving into the light, kicking and screaming, to ask their I am presence, to take dominion of their bodies, to guide them, to help them know that this is a transformational process that's going to enhance their lives, not diminish their lives. It's not going to, their behavior is all fear-based, that if they don't have this power, if they can't control, if they can't manipulate us like that, then they're not going to be able to exist. And It's the same thing with our fragmented human ego. Our ego keeps sabotaging us because it feels and knows that when the I am presence takes full dominion of our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings, we won't listen to that chaos and that outer world misinformation and, conspiracy theories and everything that's trying to wreak havoc with what's going on instead of expressing the truth of what's going on. So all of that has been dismantled now. It no longer exists. The matrices for that, we'll still see evidence of it in the outer world, but it can no longer be sustained and is being dissipated. And the young people coming to the fore, the transformational leaders, are going to be creating new heart-based social structures that are going to be win-win situations, improving the quality of life for all humanity, for the elemental kingdom, and for Mother Earth. And this 222 vibration is an important, it's not by chance that this is happening at this time, is an important part of taking this frequency of power on all planes, the ability to change the course of history, and multiplying it tenfold as we move into these years for this energy that we're going to be utilizing.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. And again, it's so inspiring, and it shows us the power of our love. So thank you. So an activity of light on this very special day. Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome. And if we'll just go within, listen to these words. Our I am presence is well aware of exactly how to God victoriously accomplish this facet of the divine plan. So just release all of your knowing to that highest realm of illumined truth and your I am presence, and this will manifest perfectly for all of us. Breathing in deeply and going within to the divinity of our heart flame. Today, during the powerful December solstice we are now in the midst of, lightworkers around the world will complete and permanently seal the God-victorious results of the unprecedented purging we have successfully co-created with the company of heaven during the past 40 days. The beings of light have confirmed that the matrices for the obsolete paradigms that were either deliberately or inadvertently miscreated in the past by our fragmented and fear-based human egos have at long last been permanently dismantled and are no longer viable. This means that there is no longer a matrix or a foundational structure that is vibrating at the discordant frequency necessary to sustain those painful social structures which have caused so much suffering over eons of time for the masses of humanity. Our Father, Mother God have affirmed that Mother Earth and all life evolving upon her have now ascended into a frequency of vibration that transcends any possibility of recreating a matrix for those grossly mutated social structures ever again. Now, in order to seal the miraculous results of this 40-day global purging, you and I and the rest of awakening humanity are being asked to infuse every facet of life on Earth with higher frequencies of our Father, Mother God's comprehensive divine love than we have ever been able to receive. If you have the heart call to weave your magnificent light into this critical facet of the divine plan, please join with me and lightworkers around the world for this activity of light that has been given to us by our Father, Mother God, and the company of heaven. And we begin. As we go within to the divinity of our heart flame and focus on the following words, our Father, Mother God will breathe through our newly elevated holy breath the highest frequencies of comprehensive divine love that we have ever been capable of receiving. Now, with every breath, every in-breath and every out-breath, we are permanently sealing the 40-day purging process we have just completed. Simultaneously, with every holy breath, we are co-creating a fluid field of unmanifest divine potential upon which awakening humanity in 2022 will begin co-creating the new heart-based paradigms and social structures that will tangibly reflect into the world of form the perfection of the fifth dimensional new earth. Now, as this process intensifies within every man, woman, and child, breath by breath, our I Am presence is awakening within each of us the remembrance of what God's comprehensive divine love is in relation to our very existence. Comprehensive divine love is the frequency of our Father, Mother God's love that pulsates from the very core of creation, forming the divine matrix of our God parents' all-encompassing body, within which exists all that is. This frequency of love is the mightiest force in the universe, and it is the very foundation of every single facet of life existing throughout the cosmos. God's comprehensive divine love is eternal. It cannot be destroyed or diminished. Whenever this divine love is expressed, it enhances and alters the very fabric and texture of God's divine matrix. Every expression of this divine love, from all time frames and dimensions, still exists. This is true whether that love was expressed today or billions of years ago. Now, during this powerful December solstice, with every holy breath we take, humanity is infusing the earth and all her life with the highest frequencies of God's comprehensive divine love that we have ever been able to receive. This influx of our Father, Mother God's love is creating a literal baptism by sacred fire that is accelerating the divine alchemy that is transfiguring humanity, the earth, and all her life into tangible manifestations of the new earth. This intensified activity of comprehensive divine love is now permeating every particle of life on earth, as it is projected on the holy breath through every person's heart flame by his or her I Am presence. This frequency of divine love is now awakening within humanity's 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA, the dormant biogenetic codes that reflect the immaculate concept of our full divine potential as fifth dimensional sons and daughters of God. This is now possible because of the accelerated activation of the 1212 catalyst codes in every person's fifth dimensional DNA, which took place on December 12th, 2021. The awakening of the biogenetic codes in our fifth dimensional DNA will greatly assist the masses of humanity to now know that we are not our fragmented and fear-based human egos. We are beloved sons and daughters of God, and all that our Father, Mother, God have is ours. We will now remember that our destiny is not to suffer with the painful miscreations of separation and duality. Our destiny is to co-create new paradigms and social structures where unity consciousness, oneness, and reverence for all life are the order of the new day, and God's comprehensive divine love is all there is. Now, as we gently assimilate the awakening of our biogenetic codes with every elevated holy breath we take, our Father, Mother, God remind us of what we knew about this awesome love prior to our fall from grace. Our Father, Mother, God's comprehensive divine love contains the fullness of all existing things, and it is the foundation from which all physical manifestations are brought into form. This love is the vibration from which we were born out of the heart of God, and the vibration through which we must now evolve and ascend back into the heart of God. Within the infinite love and power of this love, there is no pain, no sorrow, no lack or limitation. This love contains within its essence the full potential to transcend all human conditions, all self-inflicted suffering, all manner of chaos, confusion, hopelessness, or despair. Our Father, Mother, God's comprehensive divine love heals the illusion of separation. It rejuvenates, revitalizes, and makes whole all that it embraces. It is the single greatest source of forgiveness, and it reverberates with the full gathered momentum of our eternal freedom in the light. This love is the indivisible, unchanging ecstasy that allows us to know love in all things. As our Father, Mother, God now anoint humanity with the eternal light of comprehensive divine love, the sons and daughters of God reclaim our divine birthright as co-creators of heaven on earth. Now that the obsolete paradigms from the past have been permanently dismantled, and our I Am presence has awakened our biogenetic codes in our fifth dimensional DNA, this wondrous love will pulsate within the silent rhythm of every heartbeat, with every elevated holy breath we take. On this sacred and holy day, our godparents are now placing us within a force field of their comprehensive divine love. This is creating the space for our I am presence to recalibrate our nervous system, to be able to withstand the highest possible frequencies of God's infinite light as we co-create the patterns of perfection for the new earth in 2022. Day by day, this force field of comprehensive divine love will form a tremendous pulsation and magnetic pull through our heart flame that will help to awaken the masses of humanity. With every breath, the all-encompassing power of this love will pierce into the sleeping spiritual centers of every man, woman, and child and accelerate the awakening of each one. When we agree to become a magnetic force of God's comprehensive divine love, we draw to ourselves the loving support we need from those who are aligned with and will assist us with our divine missions. This occurs not because of allegiance to a particular personality, but because of the affinity of our soul's light with the spiritual essence of the particular facet of the divine plan we are called to fulfill. As we expand our service to light, we must reach up into higher and higher frequencies of unity consciousness and tap into the sacred knowledge and wisdom that will teach us how to effectively utilize these new frequencies of our Father, Mother, God's comprehensive divine love as we co-create greater expressions of the new earth in 2022. As humanity assimilates this higher frequency of God's comprehensive divine love, we are becoming conscious, empowered, and self-generating centers of this love. We now know that in collaboration with the company of heaven, we have dismantled the shackles of limitation and the shadows that have enshrouded the souls of humanity for eons of time. Our precious planet Earth is now ascending into the light unimpeded, and there is no turning back. And so it is, beloved I am. Beloved I am. Beloved, I am that I am.
We are moving with comprehensive divine love. Thank you for this beautiful activity of light and for sharing with us today. You are warming our hearts and we are staying focused on our mission.
Well, thank you, Loren, and thank you and all of the wonderful beings that are tuning in with us throughout this wonderful weekend and this powerful Soul Shine event that you have orchestrated. It is a powerful and truly wondrous way for each of us to add to the light of the world.
And we thank everyone for joining us and adding to the light of the world. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. visit newearth1.com.